Hello, everybody. It is Friday night, and you are listening to the Jobu Sports Report, and I'm as excited as can be. Let's see if I can find our live stream here while we're listening to that. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report, because without you guys, the fans, this would literally be nothing. And I'm being honest with you guys. This has been fantastic for me since August. The way this thing has grown has just been unbelievable. And I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of it. Unfortunately, our season ended way too soon for my taste, and I would have rather our team have gone to the Super Bowl. But I feel great about where our team is headed, and we have a lot to discuss with what's going on. So I'm trying some new things with the channel, and I'm trying to bring you guys up to date as possible. We're going to actually try a first tonight. One of our great fans out there, Vega Bomber, is actually going to call in, and we're going to do our first Skype call here on the Jobu Sports Report. If it works well, we'll start actually opening up to you guys calling in, as well as I'm working on some actual interviews with some really great NFL players. So hopefully we're going to be really expanding what we're doing and doing some things that nobody else is doing. Now, by now, of course, if you follow Jobu Sports Report, you know I've been talking about the whole Tony Romo situation that we have, and where we go from here. So there's a lot of questions on that tonight about what we're actually going to be able to do with Tony Romo. A lot of people are kind of mad with the idea that maybe we just end up releasing him before free agency and not getting anything for him. But here's what you really got to understand is, if our team is going to improve, and trust me, we need to improve, we're going to have to go through, and we're going to have to get some extra help. And I know everybody's saying, no, we don't want to go through free agency. We don't want to spend money, and we can just do it from the draft. But see, here's the reality. We have 21 free agents. That's a lot of free agents. And some of which need to go, some of which need to stay. And for some reason, I can't seem to locate. I always have a hard time with this. Finding you guys. Unfortunately, we're going to have to pay those guys or pay somebody else. And unfortunately, when you generally are bringing in a free agent, they're going to cost you more than what your guys have that you have. So if we don't have enough money to pay everybody now, if we're talking about bringing in a few free agents to replace those guys, we're not going to have enough money as it currently stands. And when everybody keeps saying that you keep Tony Romo as a backup, I don't believe Tony Romo is going to want to be a backup. Fantastic in the sense of he was great. We're not taking any live calls tonight, and I bet you that's our buddy the Stalker. He was fantastic as far as being a team player. Didn't cause any waves. And if you think that he's going to take a pay cut to sit behind Dak Prescott, knowing that Dak Prescott is a starter and that he won't have an opportunity, it could get really ugly. So don't look for that to happen. It's just not going to. But another thing you have to realize is his contract. There's a lot of misconception out there because it's $24 million. And what you hear from the talking heads, like I said, we're not taking any calls, and I believe that's our buddy, the Stalker, calling in. His salary is actually $14 million. But because Jerry Jones used it like a piggy bank. Actually, let me give you the perfect analogy for this while I still try and get this together. Let's say you make $2,000 a month, and you got $2,500 worth of bills this month. So you go to the loan shark, and he says, okay, I need $1,000. Or we'll say not the loan shark. How about we say you go to Title Max. You go to Title Max. Title Max, I need $1,000 this month to take care of these bills. So you get that $1,000, you pay all your bills, and you got $500 left over. So you go take that $500. You say, you know what? I'm gonna buy myself a nice new suit. So that way, yeah, that's our buddy. Because, like I said, we're not taking any calls today. You go out and buy a nice new suit. So you're back up to that $2,000 a month that you're spending on bills. Well, it's next month, and now you got $2,000 of bills, and now you owe another $1,000. So you go back to Title Max or the loan shark, and you say, yo, I need another $1,300. So now you pay all your bills, you got $300 left over. So you end up getting you get a new rim for your SUV or something like that. We'll just say hypothetically. So now you spent that $2,000 again on your bills, and you spent the money that you needed to pay off that debt. Well, guess what? It's another month. And now you're still having that same debt, but you've also increased more bills. Well, that's what Jerry Jones has been doing with Tony Romo's contract. He's been using it as a piggy bank because they spent too much money on Jay Ratcliffe, Marion Barber, Miles Austin. And because of those bad contracts, you needed cash right now to take care of those. And the problem is, you're either going to pay me now or you're going to pay me later, but you got to pay at some point. And that's where we are with Tony Romo. So I had a person who questioned and said, hey, you got $50 million you can get by restructuring. Yeah, we do. But we'll still be in the same damn mess that we are right now with Tony Romo. So the best thing is like we did with Demarcus Ware, go ahead, release him, let him go, and start over. As much as Tony Romo's done for this team, as much as we don't want to, you got to do it. But one thing we definitely have to do too is Jobu needs a refill. And there we are. Finally, Jobu is thirsty. Thank you, Wiz Young. You're right. Jobu needs that refill. Okay. And you know what? It's Friday night, 3-day weekend. I'm going to have a little bit with Jobu my damn self, if you guys don't mind. Okay. It's $50 million with Tony. Well, it depends. Here's the thing. It's $50 million with Tony Romo's release, depending on who you restructure and who you work with. Because, see, you can get money from all over the place. Jason Witten has a 1-year deal left on his thing. But what you could do is you could actually restructure his contract and put a couple of avoidable years in there. So take that $8 million down to, say, $2 million cap hit. Hey, Sarah, how you doing? Hi, David. Hi, Natasha. Hi, Wiz Young. David Ortiz. Stephen Burnett. How are you guys all doing tonight? Thank you for joining into the Jobu Sports Report. I appreciate every single one of you guys because you guys are therapy for me. So you can do that. You can do Tyrone Crawford's, although Tyrone Crawford, we're not getting what we should out of that contract that he has. I mean, it's really not been as good as it could have been with him because of injuries. You can do Tyrone Smith. Problem is, right now, Tyrone Smith, because we've already done that, is $15 million cap hit. You restructure it down the road, it's going to be even bigger next year. So you can't keep going to the well to do that. Thank you, Wiz Young. I deserve a drink. Yeah, it's been a long week, man. So I'm going to keep it light here with a rum and Coke instead of taking a shot like good old Jobu. What's up, David? Daniel, I'm sorry. How you doing? Jay Wad. Oh, we got an Eagle fan in the house, man. See, that's the great thing that I love about this channel. We may not all like the same team, but we've got some Redskin fans, we've got some Giant fans. I see a new subscriber who was a Giant fan today, just because of the video I put up about Victor Cruz. So it's kind of cool that we can all still discuss football and stuff. Have a good time with football. So the thing I wanted to impress on you guys, anybody else who has a doubt on Dak Prescott versus Tony Romo, I actually want to read something to you here. A list of names here. Okay? I'm going to go down. It's going to take a while to do this. Andrew Luck, Drew Brees, Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Palmer, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Jay Cutler, Brock Osweiler, Tony Romo. Okay? That is actually highest salary on down. Tony Romo is 17th. Now let me keep going. Tyrod Taylor, Matt Stafford, Sam Bradford, Alex Smith, Andy Dalton, Colin Kaepernick, Ryan Fitzpatrick, RG3, Chase Daniels, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Blake Bortles, Josh McCown, Nick Foles, Chad Henne, Case Keenum, Drew Stanton, Sean Hill. Getting tired yet? Colt McCoy, Matthew McCown, I don't even know who that is. Paxton Lynch, Derek Anderson, E.J. Manuel, Blaine Gabbert, the Weed Man, Brandon Whedon, Mark Sanchez, Matt Castle, Brian Hoyer, Matt Moore, Scott Telbis, I've never even heard of him either, Matt Schaub, Teddy Bridgewater, Luke McCown, Derek Carr, Geno Smith, Christian Hackenberg. My point is, we're going to go ahead and hit this. PJ, I don't have a picture of you, buddy. Seriously, I don't have a picture of you. I can hear you. We actually have PJ, better known as Vega Bomber, that was calling in. And unfortunately, I don't have a video feed. I tell you what, PJ, try and call in again and see if we can get the video up for you. All right? Again, I'm new with technology, so forgive me. I'm working to get better at it. But as you've heard that list, and it goes on and on and on, you have Kelvin Moore as well as Mark Sanchez. All of these people have one thing in common. They all make more money than Dak Prescott. And there he is.
What's happening?
Let's go ahead and get a duplicate. Here we go. You guys, this is a first here for the Jobu Sports Report. We now have a first Skype call interview here. And we have Vega Bomber here. And I want to bring him in because we had a great conversation at the Star, along with another great fan out there. And we were talking about Tony Romo, so I thought this would be something interesting and new to do. I ain't that bad with technology. Thank you, Jonathan. What I would like you to do, let me get that off of there. Tell me your exact feelings of Tony Romo situation, if you don't mind. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that, first of all, I just give credit to Tony Romo for what he did do while he was here. But at the same time, when I go and look back at the 10 years that he's had and what he's done, the idea that he had 3 years to sit behind other quarterbacks, although they weren't great ones, but at least sit behind them and understand the game. And then I think the worst thing that happened to him was having such a great year in 2007 because he went 13-3, and I think that was the impetus to make Jerry Jones say, let's throw a bunch of money at this kid because we finally got our new quarterback since Aikman. And now he's so high priced that now I'm going to lose on the trade situation because nobody's going to trade. They're just going to wait till the deadline and they're just going to cut and then take him that way.
Yeah, you actually hit the nail on the head to me that teams aren't going to, I don't think they're going to hurry up to try and make that deal. I think they're going to figure sooner or later he's going to get cut. And I think we need that money sooner than later because I think there's another plan for the team. When you hear Jerry, and although I usually say that Jerry Jones is over here being Jerry Jones going for the limelight because he likes having the limelight, I think there's a lot to that they are looking for. One thing you don't want to ever do to me in football is it's like playing poker. You got to have a poker face. You don't want people to know this is the guy I want to get because if it does, it drives up the price. And your best deal is to know that you can walk away. So from that standpoint, I think they're putting out hints that they know, and everybody knows they need help on the defense. So I think that they're looking at doing stuff now so they don't have to restructure as many contracts. As I was pointing out, we're in cap hell because we've restructured Tony Romo's contract over and over and over again. It's not that that contract was that big out of the way in comparison to other quarterbacks, but it's because you kept kicking that can down the road. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is with the misconception and a lot of the stuff that you hear, what is the craziest misconception about Tony Romo that you've heard about the whole situation? Well, I've heard a lot of different ones.
But this whole shoulda, coulda, woulda thing is really tired. And this idea that if Romo was in there, he would have just chunked the ball down the field in that playoff game, and he would have completely changed the whole game. I don't know that we'd even have gotten it through that game because they would have put the blitz on extra hard knowing that he's not mobile.
Right.
Some of those play fakes wouldn't work as well, with Romo back there because you kind of know what to expect in a way.
Well, the thing, and it's funny because sometimes you feel like you're talking to a brick wall when you try and explain it. I always try to, I just don't pull stuff out of my ass. It doesn't mean, I can't say that I know everything because I believe you learn till the day you die. And I don't care how much football you know, there's people that know a lot more. But with that said, I don't just say blah, 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 without at least having something behind it to go. And when I try and pull out numbers or things like that, people will just say, oh, no, you're wrong. Because I keep hearing people that always say, like with Dak Prescott, he's a dink and dunk quarterback, yet he's got a 7.99 completion average. And they say, oh, well, that's because the guys run for a whole lot more with the ball when he gets okay. So it's always a counter argument, but I look at it like this, and this is the exercise I was doing before I called you. Tony Romo is the 17th highest paid quarterback.
Yes.
Dak is 76th. So when you start weighing, Tony Romo is 40 times the price of Dak Prescott.
Right.
He's also 12 years older. Which is the better bargain? I mean, honestly.
And you talk about crazy arguments. That argument that they make where they say, well, Tony Romo never had a team behind him, and Dak is only benefiting from just the line and all that. Well, the problem with that argument is if Dak is benefiting from that line, then so would Tony Romo. In fact, if you look at any of the great quarterbacks, they had people to throw the ball to, people blocking well enough, and people who could run. So there's no great quarterback that did it just all by himself. And the way some of these folks talk, they act like he's, Joe Montana. He's like Jesus Christ in cleats or something. And it's like, well, Romo did some great things. He also did some things that were just absolutely boneheaded for somebody who's played as long as he's played.
Yeah, well, Sarah Green just pointed out, and this is one of those things I've been talking to about next year is going to be difficult. When you think back to the NFC East, we haven't had a repeat winner since I think the 2003 2002 season when the Eagles repeated. And when you look at our schedule, I mean, we've got the AFC West, we've got the, with Denver, which possibly could have Tony Romo. We've got Green Bay, we've got Seattle, we've got everybody, of course, in our division, which is always tough. It's going to be difficult to win 10 games. And I hope people understand that as soon as we have a game that Dak Prescott loses, I know in some of those games, it seemed like if he had a bad quarter, people were ready to pull him. So I want people, to understand that our schedule is brutal. Without a doubt, it's going to be hell in comparison to this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do. Now, I've been a big fan of Calais Campbell. Some people say I'm biased because I know him, and I do. I've been fortunate enough to do some work and stuff with him. But that's the kind of player that I think will help our defense. What do you think would be the best thing we could do for our defense? Because clearly that's our Achilles heel.
I like that pick because we need somebody who can clog up that middle and allow the pass rushers on the outside, like a David Irving, or I know he move along the line, but to allow him to be able to speed rush on the outside, or you have somebody big in the middle just clunking it up. I think that's a great idea.
Well, the interesting thing that, because a lot of people say is, oh, well, he's in a 3-4 defense and things like that, which is true. But the thing about Calais is he actually plays all the way across in that line. He can play defensive end. He can play tackle. He can actually play nose. And he's just a big body. And I say big. I have a picture, and I have to find it somewhere, where we were doing a United Way event. And I'm about 5'11", 260 pounds, and I'm a pretty good sized person. But Calais Campbell literally made me look like a Jerry's kid because I'm running between the players and I'm trying to high five them, and I literally look like a Jerry's kid because he's kind of giving me the good old elbow and stuff. This guy is huge, but unlike most huge guys, he can move. I mean, literally. And they thought when he came out at 6'8" that he'd have a problem gathering his body and being able to rush. But no, he's literally bullying over people. And I'm hoping that that's what Jerry Jones was talking about when he said he wanted a war daddy, because he fits the description, if you ask me.
I think he's perfect for it. You know, I think people are dreaming when they think about Myles Garrett. Yeah, that'd be nice. And sure, he made a nice little video and all that. But I just don't see how they can make the economics of that work.
Well, Sean Williams says we need help in the secondary. What are your thoughts on who stays and who goes? Because basically just about everybody is, with the exception of Byron Jones and Skandrick, is a free agent. Your thoughts on who stays and who you think goes?
You know, the sad part is Jerry's going to go with the guys who he thinks has the experience and carries the flag well for us here. And you know who that is. You know, that's going to be guys like, you know, Brandon Carr, and that's going to be, you know, guys like Skandrick. He'll want to keep them in there because he'll say, at least I know the devil that I have in front of me versus the devil that I don't know. But in my mind, I think Wilcox probably deserves to stay, and you probably can't keep both Skandrick and Carr. And to me, Carr, at the age that he's at, he should, you know, I just think he's deteriorating faster than people know. Maybe you give Skandrick one more year, but you got to get some more people in here. Well,
Skandrick is still under contract, but I think Carr may be re-signed because his familiarity with the team. And the reality is you can't get rid of all of them, because I don't think you're going to be able to get that many cornerbacks. They're just too expensive. Any good ones, at least, are going to be. So we're going to have to kind of make sacrifice. I think J.J. Wilcox is going to command way too much money. I don't think he's going to be able to be back, but I think Church will be. Jacob Martin has asked this question twice. And that brings us to our quarterback situation. If Tony Romo goes, Dak is our starting quarterback, as we know. Mark Sanchez and Moore are both free agents. And with Vince Young trying to make an NFL comeback, would you sign him for a backup?
Boy, that's an interesting question. I don't know. You know, when was the last time we've even seen him play or even hold a football? I mean, you have to go there, and I wouldn't think that's a good thing at all, actually.
No, he's done. And I'm sorry, but he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's broke. You know why he's broke? If you look up Vince Young, why he's broke. Some of the things that he spent money on. He decided he wanted to fly in an airplane by himself. So he literally bought all of the flight tickets for a commercial flight. I mean, why not just charter a private plane? A Learjet would have been cheaper.
Yeah.
He supposedly had a cheesecake factory fix where he would feed everybody of $10,000 a week.
That's crazy.
Why not buy a franchise? Buy a cheesecake factory. You know, own it. He spent on Louis the 13th. They said him and Liddell White had 70 shots at $250 a pop one night.
No.
Why not buy a whole bottle? It's a little bit cheaper. So to me, a guy that has that kind of mentality, and of course is famous for the Dream Team, I don't know that I want him on my team. To me, that's just an idiot and another distraction. And quite frankly, I don't think he can play. But it shows you the value of quarterbacks when he's been out for, I think the last stop he had was New England, possibly. He had a cup of coffee there. And he's been out for a couple of years, and he's trying to make a comeback. And somebody may bring him in. I mean, Lord knows RG3 is still out there at the moment getting paid.
Right. Now, there'll be somebody they can pick up. Maybe there's somebody that we'll find out about later on that's coming from the Canadian League that got cast off. Because really, this person just needs to be able to mimic what Dak does. Nobody's going to expect that person to come in and clean up and do all this great stuff. But if we have somebody, you know, who might just surprise everyone, that just, you know, somebody just kind of sitting back right now on a squad somewhere, you know, I'd like to see what shows up and what shakes out.
Yeah. We actually, Sandman, we actually have the 28th pick. And that's the thing. To me, the 28th pick is really a second-round draft pick. You're not going to, you know, you may get lucky. You know, the San Francisco 49ers got lucky with Charles Haley as a 4th-round draft pick. We got lucky with Anthony Brown, 6th round. But that doesn't always happen. In fact, you know, you look back at some of the drafts we've had where 2-3 years later, not a single player is left on the team. So when people say that, oh, don't sign Calais Campbell or a big-name free agent, draft somebody, your chances of getting a big impact player that first year are not that good at that spot. So, you know, offensive lineman, yeah, that's a great spot to get a good, you know, tackle or a, you know, guard or things like that. But pass rushers, nah, it's not going to happen. And it generally takes, like I said, 2 years, 3 years before a pass rusher really is going to become an impactful player. So if you look at the team right now and you say, I've got Dez Bryant, who's still, you know, still got time on his career. You got that offensive line that, although Tyron Smith has been getting nicked up, you want to look at making a run right now. You need an impact on that defense right now. And I still say the biggest bang for your buck is a pass rush. It will help all those other phases. If you spend all your money on a cornerback, you're still going to have pressure on those other guys because you still are having to hold up for 5, 6, 7 seconds. So that's my thought on that as far as that goes. The offense, I think you're pretty well set. I think La'el Collins is going to end up moving to tackle. We re-signed the guy from the practice squad who was on the active roster for the playoffs. His name slips me. I'm getting old and had some rum. So it's possible they're going to keep him and try and play him at guard and see what they can get out of Chaz Green. And it may be that Doug Free's gone. But you have some pieces to work with there. And I still think Terrence Williams will be re-signed. But your offense is pretty much set. And since we only spend like $38 million on the defense, it's time to open up the checkbook. We've got to get some players on there. What was your favorite? Yeah, what was your favorite thing that happened this year?
My favorite thing that happened this year was watching a rookie just come in and win 11 straight games after losing the first one. I mean, we've never seen anything like this before, Mark. We've never seen anybody come in, a rookie first year,
without a doubt.
Like that.
Yeah, and it's sad that every week it seemed like we were looking for reasons to pull him. I mean, the fact that we went to Green Bay, a place that has haunted us forever, and to beat Aaron Rodgers, and it wasn't that he played really well, it was that Aaron Rodgers just didn't do it. When we went to Pittsburgh, where Ben Roethlisberger, you know, never loses hardly, and certainly doesn't lose to rookie quarterbacks, he leads a comeback to beat them. You know, and then the whole talk is, well, Tony Romo's getting healthy and he should get pulled, or if he has a bad game. To me, the fact that this guy is got ice water in his veins, to me, is just incredible. And I look for another big step. If he's anything like his past history, every year he gets better and better. I'm very proud of that. I'm also like the way Cole Beasley became that slot guy in there and stepped up his game a lot. Of course, you got to love the fact that you got Zeke Elliott and having 2 players that were MVP candidates. That just does not happen. So we as Cowboy fans got spoiled this year. And unfortunately, I think next year we're going to be hearing a lot of people that are ticked off because of that success. So the expectations are definitely going to go through the roof.
Right. And I think another thing that's probably going under the radar is the maturation of Dez Bryant this year. I think came back, the fact that the rookie quarterback was able to show him, hey, look, bro, here's the way you handle the loss of your father. Do it this way. That's such leadership that Dak was given to Dez, and Dez calmed down a little bit. He got a little crazy early on with old boy, but eventually he started to calm down. He started to run these routes, and you see they were starting to click towards the end. So if he's clicking with Dak, that is, and your running game is great, and then you got Cole Beasley and then Witten's still in there, I mean, that's still a dangerous team to face.
I got to give a shout out to our Eagle fan, Jawad, who brought up Carson Wentz. Okay, you don't want to be left out with your rookie. I understand that he did break the record for most pass attempts for a rookie quarterback. Slow clap. Okay, congratulations, because you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you everything that I predict, whether I'm right or wrong, I'll admit it. And I did say that I thought that Jared Goff and that Carson Wentz would both be busts. Well, looks like so far I'm 50% right. But Carson Wentz played fantastic the first part of the season. Seems like the wheels fell off the bus the second half, and it'll be interesting to see what the Eagles do as far as putting talent around them and how he plays next year. But, that's one of those things that I think could actually be a great dynamic, to have the two young guns. Eli Manning is getting up there, and we all know that Eli Manning is, I think he's really close to being done. He doesn't have it like he did before, and it's not that he really had it before. Kirk Cousins, the Redskins are still on the fence on whether or not they're going to re-sign him. They're going to franchise tag him again, probably. So it'll be an interesting dynamic if we can have those two kind of going at each other for years to come. And quite frankly, I don't know about you, I actually enjoyed the fact that the Redskins were better this year, because for me, growing up here in the Washington, D.C. area, there was nothing better than when the Redskins and the Cowboys were actually playing for something, because it was a real hatred. It was really real, genuine. We want to kick some ass. We want to show those guys. And it hasn't been that way in 25 years.
I think you're right. And I love that rivalry. That was one of the best rivalries ever. And it just worked out that the mascots are perfect too, Cowboys and Indians, right? So
right.
it was one of the best things. I still remember when the fun bunch tried to do a little dance in our end zone, and somebody came over there and kind of started pushing people around.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it used to be ugly. You used to see people hitting people with forearms and all kinds of stuff. It was ugly, but fun ugly.
Well, Dak Prescott to the future MVP. This is Vega Bomber. He's actually one of our fans here. I met him actually at the Star, him and Eduardo. We ended up going through and seeing the Super Bowl trophies and the rings and stuff. And we were going to do the tour, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time before my flight came back. And he's a big fan of the show. He's also does some radio shows and stuff on Deep Ellum. And he's a fan just like you guys. And so what I'm trying to do with our show is, it's not about me. It's not about Jobu. It's about all of us together. So we're going to start doing more and more stuff. So each day I'm going to make sure that I take at least one comment and try and expand on my view and things on it, as well as starting to use the good old screen. So that way you guys can be part of the show. So right. Hopefully that answers the question. So probably we'll try and do this. We'll get one of you guys to call in each week, so that way you can be the guest host on the Jobu Sports Report.
Absolutely. Hey, Mark,
yes,
have you touched on Garrett yet? Because I'd love to talk about Garrett a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. I'll give credit where credit's due. The fact that our locker room did not get destroyed between Tony Romo and Dak Prescott, I will give him credit for. Because in the past, I've seen where we've had problems where Greg Hardy is going off on the sidelines and Des Bryant and everything else, and he's gone the other direction. And whether it was him or somebody else, you're the head guy, you are the face of the franchise, and you're the one who they look at. So whoever you put in there and handled that situation and kept that locker room together, because I have seen with the Washington Redskins when they had Doug Williams and Jay Schrader, where it literally divided a locker room. You could say with Roger Staubach and Craig Morton. You could say Montana and Steve Young. You know, there's tons and tons of examples where the veteran doesn't want to give up that job, and half the team is behind him, and the other half is behind the other guy. That didn't happen with the Cowboys. That offense didn't skip a beat. Now, on the other side, I told you that my Finish the Fight shirt, I'm going to get an extra layer on there. And underneath it's going to say, Coach Better. Because every year it seems that we have a defining game and we piss down our legs.
Yeah.
And you can look at the playoff games, and I still say, because people they'll look at the catch, no catch. I still, in my mind, say there's a lot of time on the clock. It's 4th down and 1. You've got the NFL leading running back.
Mm-hmm.
You run the ball.
That's right.
Instead of going deep. So they say, oh, no. Tony Romo changed the play. Well, you know what? You're the coach. You should say, Tony, there's 4 minutes left in the game.
Mm-hmm.
We just need a field goal to win. Mm-hmm. We want to eat up this clock and kick a field goal or get a touchdown, but don't leave any time for Aaron Rodgers. So that means you don't go for it all on fourth down where it's not a high percentage pass. So people will say, oh, no, that was Tony Romo chasing the play. But then when you say, well, Tony Romo went, oh, no, Jason Garrett called the play. So nobody wants to accept responsibility for that. And that's the same thing that happened in the playoffs. Oh, my God. Yeah. So, okay, even if you say, okay, forget about spiking the ball. To me, it says, okay, it's second down, time on the clock. We got a great running back. We're already in field goal range.
Yep.
Let's run the ball a couple of times.
Yep.
Set up for field goal position because we still had a timeout. Run the ball 2 times, stop the clock with 2 seconds, kick the field goal.
That's right.
Coaching 101. No?
Yep.
We pass to Cole Beasley who goes out of bounds. We pass again, incomplete. Didn't take any time off the clock.
Yep.
And you left the time for Aaron Rodgers. So that's where I see time management issues, and I see sometimes maybe it's panic. Maybe it's your asshole just tightened up. But something happens in those games. It happened in those 8-8 games year after year. It happened in Green Bay where you're up 26-3. So I'm hoping that finally maybe they can get it together. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I look at the psychology of this because, I'm a big fan of Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson wasn't talking about fighting. Jimmy Johnson in the playoffs said, we will win the game. Put it in 3-inch bold letters on the front of the paper. And when he said that, his team believed that.
Yeah.
When I hear Garrett talk, his psychology is, well, we're gonna scratch, we're gonna claw, we're gonna fight, and then we're gonna finish the fight. And it sounds desperate.
Yeah. And you know what annoyed me though? The day after we lost, he seemed so happy. You know what? Where is some passion and some anger?
Yes.
Look at Danny Green. The Bears are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. Okay, we let the Green Bay Packers off the hook. We screwed up. We should have won that game. I would love to see some passion and some fire instead of the clapper. Come on.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells, if you messed up on a play, Bill Parcells will give you a look that make you want to go to the other side of the field.
That's right.
You don't get that. You get the clapper. We'll get him next time, guys. I feel like he's a little league coach sometimes. Nice play, Johnny. Everybody gets a participation trophy.
See, what he doesn't understand that Jimmy Johnson understood was that this is a young team, which means they're very impressionable. So you got to set the culture now. And that's what Jimmy did. He set the culture then and there. He said, yo, that over there is the asthma field. That over there is I can't get off the IR field. I mean, he was rough about that. He made Aikman catch the plane and go home after the Super Bowl because he was staying back answering too many questions. I mean, Jimmy was serious and you didn't quite know where you stood, but you knew it led to winning.
Yeah.
This team here is really, really young. The only people that are older on this team is obviously Witten, and Brandon Carr, but the rest of them are young. So you need a guy right now who's like a Jimmy Johnson type.
Well, so for me,
set that culture up.
Well, for me, I believe that after a while, you need change for change's sake. And he's been there for 10 years between being the offensive coordinator and head coach. Giannis, Jerry, I'm sure would love to get Randy Gregory to get on the field, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen because he's going to be suspended all next year for, can't stay off the weed. Will Tony Romo be traded in 30 days or June 1st cut be enough cap space? Well, Tony Romo, I don't think is going to get traded. I think he's actually going to get cut because for more than anything else, I think Jerry Jones respects Tony and cares for Tony enough that he's going to say, you can end your career the way you want to, as opposed to waiting for a trade. Because for him, he's going to need to get out in free agency while there's money there before teams start making decisions. They're not going to wait forever for the Cowboys to cut him. So I think the Cowboys are going to do that. I'm not sure. I've got to do some checking. Unfortunately, my day job is kicking my butt, so I haven't had enough time to do research. We can cut him now, and he's a June 1st cut. But I'm not sure exactly how the cash works, if we have to wait till June 1st to use all of it, or if we get the $5.6 million now. So I think we get the 5.6 now. The other 14 we don't get till later, but I could be wrong on that. So like I said, I'll have to get back to you guys on that one. Let me get some of these. Unfortunately, Jason Garrett's not going to go anywhere. He got Coach of the Year. And Jerry Jones is going to try and prove that he was right by, I picked Jason Garrett. He's going to go to the Super Bowl in the same way he wanted Tony Romo to do that. So it's ego for Jerry Jones. And No, I'm not gonna say that because that's kind of inside information. That's not a good thing for me to say or to tell you guys about. I can't do that one. But Jerry Jones, it's about his ego, and it's that team is his toy. So he wants to show the world that I am the smartest guy in the room, and I don't know why he needs that. He's got the best stadium in the world. He makes more money than his great grandkids could ever spend. I don't understand why he needs more validation, but he does. Yeah, Ernie, you're probably right that he will never give in to a great coach. But there's a couple of kinds of coaches out there to me. You have Bill Parcells, who's the great coach who always leaves the cupboard full and builds a team. And you have other guys that are good at taking a team to the next level, like John Gruden. But when it comes to building a team, not so much. I would almost love to see a John Gruden or somebody like that to come in and be a change, to get a different look. Because after a while, teams get used to your tendencies, and they know how to deal with Jason Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
Your highlight. Okay, so Jay Wadd, your highlight for the season, our Eagle fan, was beating the Falcons by 15 points, or beating the Falcons and holding to 15 points. My highlight of the season, I actually would say going to Green Bay and beating them in Lambeau Field to kind of get our monkey off their back there. That, and always the Washington Redskins. The way that we won in Washington, because the Redskins had victory right there. Kirk Cousins is down there about to throw a touchdown, throws an interception. We drive down the field and end up winning the game. So I'd say those two are probably my favorite games. But the fact that we ended up getting a fantastic quarterback in the 4th round without having to make a trade up, Eagles, and give away other draft picks to get him, to me, is just unbelievable. And the fact that we got the best running back in football in the same draft, I can't complain.
Yeah, and I would say my favorite 2 moments this year was when we played the Steelers, watching Ezekiel Elliott take a little screen pass and go all the way down some 80-something plus yards. That was a fun game to watch. And of course, the Eagles game, when Dak was flawless in overtime and went 9 for 9 down the field, threw that nice pass to Jason Witten, perfect game over.
Well, Nicholas was talking about Jason Witten, with him being close to retirement. What do I feel about tight ends on our team? Goff Swan, he's been injured. Rico Gathers is kind of a project, or do we need another tight end soon? Thoughts?
Well,
we've tried to replace. We've tried to get guys, but we just have not had luck.
Yeah. I mean, he's a specimen, of course. Rico Gathers. I mean, you get that. I just don't know how football smart he can get quick enough. I know they compare him to like Antonio Gates in a sense in terms of size, but I think that's a different thing. I think Jason Witten will stick around for at least 2 to 3 more years. He'll try to at least. And I think unless he just gets really, really injured bad and something really happens, that maybe it's a season where maybe Dak gets hurt and he realizes, man, this isn't going to happen. Maybe that's the omen. But I think he'd like to stick around. But Rico Gathers is interesting, but I'm just not ready to crown him yet.
Well, Mr. Tips brings up Demarcus Ware.
No.
I'm sorry. See, to me, what we're thinking about a lot of times when we think about players is we're not thinking about where they are now. We're thinking about the player from 3 or 4 years ago. Because we saw people that say, oh, we should sign Michael Vick to be a backup. But it's not Michael Vick from Atlanta or even his early years in Philadelphia. He's gone. And the thing with Ware is he was breaking down when we had him. And there was something that was interesting that was always happening if you go back and look at statistics on Demarcus Ware, where we were known as we couldn't win in December, and everybody pointed to Tony Romo. But the interesting thing is with Demarcus Ware, the majority of his sacks happen the first 8 weeks of the season. But as the season progressed, his sack numbers in December go way, way down. Now, he did have that fantastic Super Bowl, got 2 sacks in that one, and maybe it was finally – after all those years of getting to it, it was a bonus, but he's not going to give you that much at this point. And the only way I would do it is basically a veteran minimum incentive-laced contract. But you're then losing a spot on the team for somebody who's going to be able to develop later on.
Agree. I don't want Demarcus Ware here. I mean, it's happened once. That's it. He did what he could do. They got as much as they could out of him. I would think that's a nostalgia move, and we don't really need to go like that.
Well, Magic Toaster, I don't think you're going to get 2015 production from Ware. His body is just too worn out. You only have so many hits on your body in football, and I think he's past that mark. Wiz Young, I would like an interview, Mark. I grew up in Maryland around Redskins fans who would say, if you've never been to Dallas, you're not a fan. Oh, we know, man, we know that that's the case. But Wiz Young, since you're around the neighborhood, for me, I don't know if you listen to Sports Talk 980, but the Redskin Nation has been going crazy over Bryce Harper showing up in Vegas wearing a Dallas Cowboy hat. And I didn't know that John Wall apparently showed up to the Redskin Dallas game wearing an Emmitt Smith jersey. So you got some Redskin fans that literally want to get rid of these guys. And I just got to, you got to understand, there's a hell of a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans in the Washington metro area. Do you find, Vega Bomber, do you find a lot of Redskin fans in Dallas?
You know what? I don't. What we have down here is a lot of Packers fans, all of a sudden a bunch of Seattle fans, and there's a lot of Broncos fans here as well.
Yeah, well, Elijah, I'm sorry, and a lot of people like Undisputed a lot better than First Take. I'm not a big Skip Bayless fan. I'm sorry. Ever since back in the day when he basically tried to start a rumor for headlines of Troy Aikman being gay.
Yeah.
And whether a guy's gay or not, it got nothing to do with it. I mean, there are football players throughout the history of football that have been gay. It's just that it's not out. It doesn't matter. And a lot of times he will do stuff that just starts shit. He's admitted, I'm a bandwagon fan. I was on the team when they were winning and doing this, and when they were losing, I got off the bandwagon. So by definition, you're a bandwagon fan. Because, last year, even though we had Texas Mate saying that I'm not a real fan, that I'm only doing this channel because I know that the Dallas Cowboys are the most popular fans and I can get people to talk because people won't listen to me if I talk about the Redskins. Well, yeah, they won't listen to me talk about the Redskins because I'm not a Redskin fan. Now I forgot my point here, but if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. You may not like what they're doing, but I'm going to support the team. I'll tell you that Jerry Jones, you made a mistake. Jason Garrett, you can't coach. But come Sunday, I'm going to be cheering and supporting the team, and that is my team, win, lose, or draw. I did that when they were 1-15, and their only victory was against the Redskins.
That's right.
I did that last year when they only won 4 games, and they looked absolutely putrid. You wanted to literally vomit after the games. You felt dirty and had to take a shower. I was still there as a Dallas Cowboy fan. Jobu, he's got no Redskin jerseys.
No. And see, we were there when the Cowboys were going to the championship games, in the 80s there, and actually in the 90s, or actually the 80s there, where we were losing in the championship game 3 years in a row. We lost to the Eagles, we lost to the 49ers, and we lost to the Redskins, not necessarily in that order. And if you were a fan back then, to watch Danny White every year take you to the championship game and then not go further, you don't forget stuff like that. You just don't, And remember the middle 80s, the best player on the team was Eugene Lockhart. That was it, a linebacker. That's all you had in the middle 80s there for a while.
Well, speaking of Danny White, I'm old. Let's just face it, okay? The great thing for me is I never forget my age because it's the same as the Super Bowl, okay? This is Super Bowl 51. I'm 51 years old. But if you look at history, and I'm hoping and praying that history is repeating itself, because when you talk about Danny White going to the NFC Championship game 3 years in a row, the team was known as they can't win the big one.
Yep.
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does. That's what they were told earlier when they couldn't beat the Packers back in the day in the early 60s and 70s there.
But you can also relate that to somebody who is on the team right now, can't you?
Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay. And when you look at our history with the Packers, we lost the Ice Bowl. They went on and became the Vince Lombardi Trophy and things. We went to Super Bowl 5 and we lost to the Colts. And it was and we had a quarterback then, Craig Morton, who was a veteran, took him to a Super Bowl and all that. And then you had this quarterback who was unconventional, who didn't play. He ran, and that was a quarterback running. And it was kind of crazy because Tom Landry didn't know what to do. He tried actually shifting them on every other play. They were like 2 shifts in a night every other play. And they finally got rid of him, and guess where he went? Craig Morton.
The Broncos.
Yeah. Huh. Aren't they talking about Tony Romo might go to Denver?
Uh-oh.
So when you look at that, all of a sudden, and this stuff isn't new because when you look back even with Troy Aikman, we had quarterback controversy there because Troy Aikman wasn't really the guy Jimmy Johnson wanted. He wanted Steve Walsh because he played for him in Miami. Yeah. So Steve Walsh got shipped out, Troy Aikman. So you can kind of equate all of these things that went together. And the big thing for the Cowboys after they lost in 91 in the playoffs after being out for so long, they got my boy Charles Haley. Yep. That was the difference maker that brought that defense together. And I think that getting that kind of guy can be the difference maker now. And basically it'd be history repeating itself.
I would agree with you because this last year our defense was ranked 5th in terms of points allowed. And if you look at the 90s Cowboys, they were ranked number 5 the first year in 92, and then in 93 they were ranked number 2. We were number 2 in offense and number 2 in defense in terms of points scored and points allowed. Yeah. So if you look at that, we're just one player away from getting that particular strength back again that we need. And then actually in 2011, for those Romo fans that say we never had defense, we had the number 2 ranked defense in 2011. So
Well, Mark Monk, I would love to trade Tony Romo for J.J. Watt, but that's not going to happen. And a lot of people have come up with different scenarios. Oh, we can get a number 1 bit, and it's not going to happen. No. Sorry, I wish it could. Wish we could trade him for J.J. Watt, even with J.J. Watt's injury history. It's not going to happen. I think I agree with you, Sean. I think Romo does go with the Texans because it's not. It's a 3.5-hour drive. I made it from Dallas, where his roots kind of are. They have a great defense and stuff. Their offensive line is solid. You look at Denver. Denver's offensive line is not good, and if he can't stay healthy behind our offensive line, he definitely is not going to stay healthy behind Denver's. So I think you might be right. He may be staying with the Texans. In Stillwater, Oklahoma, there's a lot. Yeah, I bet in Oklahoma there would be a lot of Cowboy fans. There's really not any other team that's that close to them other than the Cowboys. Ron Leary. Well, I wish we could keep Ron Leary. Franchise tag him? No, you're not going to franchise tag. We don't have that kind of money. And I'm not sure he's worth a franchise tag. He's a fantastic guard, but you're not talking about paying him $10 million a year. Not when you have Collins and things out there. He's definitely gone. Him and I think J.J. Wilcox, there's no chance of signing either of those two guys. Romo with the longer stay in Dallas, but the scenario purpose, Romo is like Morton. You're right. Romo is kind of like Craig Morton, but Craig Morton at least got to us 2 Super Bowls. Yeah. Who do we have? Who do you see them taking at 28? To me, it's too many variables to even figure that out. My thing is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, no, that's going to be really hard. I hope, again, that they take the best player available, just like they did with Zeke this year. Most people were going, why are you taking a running back at 4, the 4th pick? But as it turns out, that was a dream. So I hope that they just take the best possible player. And the defense is better.
Well, see, that's where, to me, again, and I hate to keep pounding the ground, Calais Campbell, but anybody who watched me last year, and I know there was only 300 subscribers, so it wasn't that many of you guys, but I kept pounding week after week about Dak Prescott. In fact, I do the Benet Emery show, and Benet was like, man, would you get off of this guy, Dak Prescott? He's rated as the 7th best quarterback in the NFL, in the draft. So why are you talking about this guy? We could go ahead and get Carson Wentz with the 4th pick and stuff. And I kept saying, no. I said, look, to me, there is no great quarterback that's in that draft. To me, they were all kind of project quarterbacks. They didn't warrant a number 1, but because of the position, they're going to get drafted high. And I said, to me, they're all about the same level. And I basically was right on that. So it's just kind of interesting how things work out. Well, yes, Nicholas, you hit the nail on the head that we will have a lot of compensatory picks next year because we are going to be losing a lot of free agents. Jobu is growing a wig. Well, yeah, he got a new do, and it's kind of long and definitely hangs down a lot. I kind of liked it when it kind of stood up a little bit more. Have you seen some of those videos on Jaylen Smith? Looks like he's frozen up on us. I've seen some of those videos of the workouts on Jaylen Smith, and I got to tell you, it's gotten to be exciting for me, the fact that I think that he may end up being healthy, and I think he could make a big impact for our defense, that one that we definitely need. And I look forward to seeing him working out in mini camps and stuff. Jobu with the ponytail. That would be a good idea. Have you seen some of the workout videos of Jaylen Smith and your thoughts of you think that he's going to be the player like he was in college?
I think so. I think, it's just tricky with, different bodies, the way people heal is different, but I think he could be. I think the videos that I've seen were pretty good, and I don't know how recent they were, but some of the ones I saw online, I thought it was good. I think if they just don't rush him and they let him take it step by step, it's just such a weird thing how certain people's bodies, heal. But I don't know. I think he could. And he's young enough. And now if he was older, he was maybe 4 or 5 years older, probably not. But being at his age, he has a good chance. I would bet maybe more so, yes.
Yeah, definitely. There was another question here that I just laughed on and I just lost it. Troll of the Year douchebag award goes to. Oh, geez. The guy that kept calling in, I mean, he's literally like a stalker with the steamy hot jizz. I don't know which one that it is. Of course, we had so many. We had the GOAT, Billy Goat. Of course, Texas Made, who just kept saying that I'm a fake. I haven't seen him lately. I haven't seen any of them. In fact, none tonight. I don't know what happened. Maybe they all have dates or something. My God, it's amazing how fast the time flies when we get in here, because we've been on here for almost an hour, and it's just been actually amazing. I want to get your guys' thoughts on having a guest host. Me, I'm going to throw some shit on the wall and see if it sticks, and if it sticks, we're going to keep on doing it. But I love having the interaction with our fans and stuff like that. Definitely bouncing stuff off of it, and to me, it makes me feel like we're actually sitting around having a conversation here in my living room. And I'm noticing that shirt that you have right there.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. A Cowboy Jobu shirt. I have a few of those left. I haven't forgot yours, Blake. I've got to get that in the mail. I've been leaving so early in the morning and getting home. I have not had time to go to the post office. I'll try and get it out there tomorrow. The rest of the shirts I have left, we'll start doing some giveaways on those. And I'm starting to work on the designs for next year. And if there's things that you guys like or would like to see me do, topics you'd like me to cover, or things, I know you guys want shot glasses, and I'm looking into bobblehead dolls of Jobu. So again, Nicholas, thank you for recently subscribing and enjoying this. Like I said, I'm new at doing this stuff. I mean, I've been doing Jobu Report for a while, but doing it the way we're doing, I'm learning, and I want input from you guys so that way I can make this the go-to place for Dallas Cowboys news, conversation, and friendship. So, guys, it is 2 minutes left. Get in your last couple of questions, and then we're going to go ahead and get the heck out of here. I want to thank you for joining me tonight, and we're definitely going to have you on again real soon. Football never seems to end. I was worried that, the Super Bowl was over. There was not going to be anything to talk about, but it seems like we have just as much conversation as we do during the season. So thank you tonight for joining in. I appreciate it, PJ, and I will be talking to you real soon.
All right, Mark. Thanks again for the shirt and the good times in Dallas. We got your back down here in Dallas. All
right. Well, I plan on being in Dallas a lot this year coming up. I'm working because I definitely want to do some meet and greets. I definitely want to do some other things. And if you guys know of any rum distilleries, Jobu is looking for an official rum. So I think it would be a perfect partnership if we can find a rum factory in Dallas. Okay, we'll talk to you later, PJ. People, I want to thank you so much for all the support, all the comments, everything that you guys do. It's unbelievable. And you guys have literally made this so much fun for me. You want, Sean, you want a shirt?
Narrator dialogue. No button. Alt exiting narrator.
Okay. Not sure why that came up. But Jobu postcards. Postcards? Bye, everyone. Sarah, good night. Thank you as always for joining. Mr. Chips, Wiz Young, Nick C, Magic Toaster, all of you guys. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, Sandman, Davaris, Dak to the Future, Blake. I've got your address and stuff in my phone and my email. I got to get that out tomorrow. Brandon B, Ernie. I got a lot of new names here. Davaris. James, Trey Kennedy, thank you. Robert A. Man, Elijah, good Lord. Wiz Young, all of you, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to Jobu Sports Report. Have a great weekend, and I am